Welcome, yogis. I invite you to come into a comfortable seat. Feel free to close your eyes as you get there. Take a little rolling of the shoulders if necessary, just to get any of the wiggles out. That may also involve a roll of the jaw, or maybe even chin to chest, and a little bit of rocking back and forth of the head. Eventually, you'll come back into stillness. Sit up tall, and just bring your awareness to your breath. Finding gentle inhales and exhales. Your only work right now being to balance the length and strength of each breath. Today we're talking about intention. Intention is to be purposeful, to call to mind what your purpose is, what you desire, what you seek. To do something with intent isn't random. You're creating an environment where your efforts, your focus, and your actions are moving towards a higher purpose. By setting an intention, you're making a declaration that you're going in a particular direction. But intention can be flexible. It allows for fluidity. So as you start your practice, I invite this idea of intention. And today it's personal. So with your eyes closed, imagine what it is you desire. That might just be out of your movement, out of your practice. Or maybe that's a little bit deeper. Something that you want to see change or shift in your life off the mat. Call this intention to mind. It could be something very simple, right? Something like presence. You find ways in the practice to bring your mind back to your intention. And inevitably, there's some energy you'll carry off the mat into the actions of the day. Let's place one hand over the heart, the other palm on top. Bow your head. Hold this intention close to your heart. Take a few deep breaths. Allow your hands to float back down to your lap. And then when you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. Okay, friends. Practice today is going to be a shorter class. If you have a couple blocks, it's always nice to have nearby. If you don't have blocks, soup cans work, really anything you have, some books stacked up, just to bring the floor up to you. Other than that, I will see you on the mat. We're going to get started today in a child's pose. Child's pose can look all different ways. Today, I'll invite you to take your knees wide with your toes together, and then you're going to walk your arms forward. Allow your forehead to come down to the earth. If it's not comfortable, if the forehead doesn't quite reach, then you can put a block underneath your forehead. You could even just stack your palms or even make some fists to bring the floor to you. Now we want a little bit of activity in this child's pose. So you're crawling your fingers towards the top edge of your mat, while at the same time keeping your sits bones knitting down and back towards your heels. Breathe deeply. Do your best to expand your back ribs. And sometimes that's challenging, right? To move your breath to different places in the body. So just use this moment to play around. Test it out. Right? What could you do to get your breath in your back ribs? Breathing behind the heart. Take one more breath. And then you'll peel yourself up to tabletop. All right, here let's spread the fingers wide. Stack your joints so the shoulders are right over the wrists. But if you need a little bit of a easier expression, if the wrists are a little tender, then you can move your hands forward. For a little extra space in the shoulders, you could also fan the palms out. So find that sweet spot, and then we'll breathe in, allow the belly to drop as you curl the heart forward for cow pose. Exhale, press through the ground, around your back for cat. Inhale, cow pose. And exhale, cat. Continue to move at the pace of your breath. And these first postures are always a good place to explore the body. Feel for any work you might have been doing the past few days, or even just any lingering aches and pains. That discomfort often will come from repetitive movements, so sitting in the same position day after day, even standing and favoring one leg day after day, our dominant arm, dominant hand. Right? That's all going to create imbalance in the body. But here's our chance to kind of unravel all of that and find some equilibrium. All right, let's come back to a neutral spine. Sink back to child's for a moment. Just give the shoulders a little juice. Tent your fingertips to give the wrists a little stretch. And as you'll see, I'm doing a little bit of rocking side to side. That just feels good to me sometimes, so you can always play around. All right, back up to table. Now, engage the belly by drawing your navel up. Another way to think about this is instead of being in a sway back bend like the cow pose, we're lifting through the navel without that super rounding, right? Shoulder blades are neutral, belly's lifted. Press your left shin and the top of your foot into the earth and extend your right leg back. Now notice already if the right leg sent back and hovering is causing the belly to dip, recommit to the lift of the navel, and then we'll extend the left arm forward. Now try to get your left bicep by your ear. We'll take a breath in for length. Breath out, curl in, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Again, curl in. Inhale, lengthen. Last one, tap. Lengthen out. Take hand and knee back to the earth. Again, if you need a little juice, sit back for a moment. Tent the fingers. A little bit of rocking side to side. And then it's back to table. Engage the belly. Extend your left leg back with the hovering toes and check in with the form. Right, sometimes we sink over into the hip. That's just a little bit of weakness in the glute med. So we'll bring it back in towards midline, square the left hip down to the earth, and we'll extend the right arm forward. Keep that navel drawing up and in, and then it's an inhale to lengthen. Exhale, curl, elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Exhale, round. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, tap. Extend it out. And bring it back down to table. Move your hands forward about one handprint forward. Tuck your toes and lift up and back to down dog. And then you can always check out your down dog by taking a shift to plank. See what's going on there. Frontal hip bones pressing forward, and then hips will rise up and back. Pedal out the legs for a little extra opening of the back line of the leg. Be sure to stay checking in with your breath. Nice even rhythm, in and out. Take a walk to the top of your mat, all the way forward. Breathe in, flat back. Breathe out and fold, belly towards the thighs. Press through your feet as you come all the way up to stand. Sweep your arms to the sky. And then hands to heart center. So we'll take a few rounds of Sun Salutation A. Keep the toes spread, ground through your feet. Inhale, wide sweep of the arms. Exhale, hinge and fold. Halfway lift. Ground your palms by bending your knees. Step your right foot back, your left foot back, plank pose. And then as you can, one long line, dropping your knees if you need to, we'll come all the way down to the belly. Point your toes, take a cobra, lift the heart. Exhale, lower down. Now let's take that again. Inhale, cobra, lift. And then notice if you're hunching in the shoulders. Can you roll the shoulder blades down the back, squeezing the shoulder blades towards the waistline and getting this nice big spread in the collarbones. Lower the chest once again, press back through the child's pose, and then come right back up to downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Again, inhale, high tiptoes. Take a walk forward to the top of your mat. Half lift and fold. Rise all the way up, extend the arms. Hands meet in front of your heart. Same thing again. Inhale, reach the sky. Exhale, fold forward, swan dive. Half lift. Bring your hands to the mat. Step your left foot back, right foot back, plank pose. Squeeze through the glutes. Frontal hip bones push forward, so that means there's a line from your shoulders to your heels. Take an inhale. Exhale to your belly, lower all the way. Point your toes, inhale, cobra, lift your heart. And exhale, lower down. Take that one more time, maybe coming a little bit higher. Hug your elbows towards the ribs. Inhale, lift the heart. Engage the back body. Exhale to lower. Press back through child's. Tuck your toes and it's back to dog. 3 breaths. This time, high tiptoes, bend your knees, walk or jump, top of the mat. Flat back. Fold. Rise to stand, sweep your arms, and hands to heart. Okay, let's step the feet to hips width. Bend the knees into a chair pose. Now we'll take our hands, bring them onto the left thigh bone. So kind of fingers pointing in opposite directions, one hand above the other. Shift the weight into your left foot, anchoring down through the weight of the upper body. And then let's extend the right leg back behind at a slight diagonal, the toe on the ground. So it's a little bit of work in balance, but also strength of the right glute. Okay, ground in the left leg, and then we'll find something to look at to help with the balance. Lift the right toe off the floor and bring it back down. Lift and lower. So you're just going to keep moving with that back leg lift, and then just being aware of your front leg. Often what happens is there's a caving in, so the arch of the foot caves, the knee curls in. That we want to be careful of, right? Spiraling your knee towards the pinky toe instead, trying to keep the spread of your weight across the ball of your foot, and then favoring just a little bit the razor edge, that outer edge. All right, let's take one more leg lift, and then it's back to Tadasana. Spread your toes, knit your front ribs down. So when we're talking about posture of mountain pose, naturally, we all want to stand up tall. We want our shoulders to be open, the chest to be broad. So we do that. Because of the nature of most of our days, really, no matter what your job is, a lot of us are on phones, on computers, really just cooking, whatever it is, functioning in the world in front of the body. So the shoulders end up rounding. Even reading, all these activities are forward rounded postures. So when we want to translate that to standing up tall, what happens is we get this big sway back, ribs pop out. So our work in the yoga, realign the posture. Bring the ribs down. That may cause the shoulders to round, so you're just aware of that. And trying to peel the collarbones open, keep the shoulders back without letting those ribs flare up again. Perfection is not a thing, so it's just the noticing, the awareness, and that subtle work over time creates change. Spiral your palms to face forward. This external rotation in the arms is also going to help with the action of the chest. Engage your back body. All right, let's take a breath in. Extend your arms up. Now notice already if the rib cage is flared. Keep everything knit in. Frontal hip bones and low ribs coming closer together. Press through your feet and see how much longer you can get. Not by lifting the chin, not by lifting the ribs, but instead lengthening through the back body. Let's take one more breath in. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Flat back, long spine, hands could come to shins. Exhale, bow, hands come down to the earth. We'll step the right foot back and lower the back knee for a low lunge. Sweep your arms to the sky. Spread your toes. Square your hips to the front of the mat. So that is left hip back, right hip forward. And then test out the depth. You see how far forward you can come in the front knee without dipping into a back bend too much. Navel in. Now from here, take your hands down to your heart. So another little work in balance. We'll tuck the back toes. See if you can stand on your left knee. We're going to charge the right knee into palms. Palm on palm, give it a little kick, and then send it back to airplane. The arms reach back, the right leg kicks back. We want to think of this like our cobra pose, but floating. So the chest is lifted, the gaze is forward, but the back leg is parallel with the mat. Pay attention to the left leg, that same work you were doing when we were doing the leg lifts. Now slowly step the right foot way back. Crescent lunge. Reach your arms up, a little bit of bend in the back knee. Hug your inner thighs towards midline. This will help you square the hips. Take one more full breath. Exhale, hands to heart, back knee to the earth. Let's take another inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, twist to the left with just open arms. Left arm back, right arm forward. Extend beyond the fingertips. Peel the collarbones open. Flip your front palm and then reverse. So for some, the left hand might find the right heel, not required. Continue to reach with your right arm towards the back of the room. And then back to your T-twist. Inhale, arms to sky, turn forward. Hands to heart, exhale. Mountain pose. Stand up, 2 feet to the top of the mat. Breathe in, sweep to sky. Breathe out, hands to heart, sink down like chair pose. Now the hands will come onto the right thigh. Ground down. Bring some effort into, again, using the whole foot, but careful about caving into the arch. Spread your toes wide. Get as much surface area as you can. The left leg will come back at a diagonal with the toe on the earth. All right, when you're ready, hover that left leg and lower down. Lift and lower. So yes, there's concentration for balance, concentration to engage and squeeze the left glute. But we really want to pay attention to the standing leg. Feel beneath your hands how the knee might be quivering or moving. One side may be stronger than the other. Depending on what's happened in your life, sometimes the arches of the feet change. That will affect things. So there's no judgment, just awareness. Just a couple more of these lifts. All right, last one. And then stand up, mountain pose. Spiral your palms to face forward. Engage your back body. just from this rotation in the arm bones. So we remember the work with the rib cage knitting down, the peeling open of the shoulders. We want to be careful that we're not quite squeezing a pencil between the shoulder blades. There's no exaggeration up top. It's just neutral. That may feel like you are working to draw the shoulders back in space. That is okay, right? That's undoing this forward curling. There needs to be some work to get to equilibrium. We just don't want to overdo it and squeeze too much. So find that middle ground. A couple more breaths, maybe with eyes closed. Visualizing there was a string attached to the very top of your head, pulling you up towards the ceiling. And again, not so much to tilt the skull or to tilt the rib cage, but more so of a elevation. Okay, now on a breath in, sweep the arms up, blink the eyes open. Breath out, fold forward. Flat back, hands to shins. Bring your hands down to the mat, step your left foot back and lower your knee. Arms up, low lunge. So you play a little bit. Spread your toes. Test out how far forward your right knee can go without the pelvis spilling forward too much. And what I mean by that is that you'll notice when you're backed out of the pose a little bit, it's a little easier to get the pelvis neutral, and then there's some room between your hip and your thigh. For some of you that are more oriented like my body type, with more of that sway back naturally, you may find that it's easier to do back bends. When you drive forward through the knee, you'll notice this connection here starts to get closer, and if I exaggerate too much, my pelvis is completely tipped forward. My belly's sticking out, my chest is sticking out, and then my low back is a little achy. We don't want that. So we draw the navel in. We see about bringing the front knee forward while maintaining control, maintaining nice space in the low back. And then when we find the sweet spot, the arms will extend back up, and we breathe. So we get a nice stretch through the left quad, some strength through the right leg, and as we squeeze into midline, some good work in the inner thighs. Let's take a breath in, lengthen. And breath out. Hands come down to heart. Now again, we'll stack the palms, working some balance. Tuck your back toes. Bring your weight to your right foot and charge left knee into your hands. Airplane. Kick your left leg back. Reach your fingers towards the back of the mat. Again, if balance is a little wobbly, just tap the foot down a few times. Check back in with it. Imagine this like cobra. Chest curled up, back leg hovering. Slowly reach back. Crescent lunge, land the toes, extend your arms to sky. Hands to heart, back knee comes down to the earth. All right, now again, we'll bring the arms to the sky. This time, twist to the right, left arm forward, right arm back. So we need to use more of the inner thigh work, more engagement in the abdomen to help rotate a little bit deeper. Now, especially if you're going to do the reverse and try to grab the foot, I would recommend tucking your left toes under so you've got a little bit more room with your heel lifted. Flip your left palm, reverse back, and either stay here or maybe the hand and foot connect. Peer over your right shoulder. Give your face and neck a little stretch. Come on back up to the twist. Reach your arms to the sky, hands to hearts, and then we'll just take a step up to mountain pose. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Half lift. Ground your palms, step back, plank pose. And this time, chaturanga. So if you need to drop the knees, you do so. Bend the elbows halfway down. Straighten the arms, point your toes, lift the chest. We'll try to get the knees lifted, the hips lifted. Press down through the hands. Take a full inhale. Exhale, pike the hips up and back. Down dog. Lower your knees, take a child's pose. Toes together, knees wide, arms forward. Rise back up to tabletop. Center out your joints. And now from here, you're going to sway your hips to the left, peer right over your shoulder towards your heels. Sway the hips to the right, look left towards the heels. Taking this back and forth. And just a healthy movement for the spine, right? We call this lateral flexion. We don't always move the spine in this shape, but a fluid, mobile spine is a healthy spine. Now pay attention to whatever side is giving you the most feedback. I'll have you pick that side to drop your hips off to the side, swing your legs out in front of you, and then we'll start with the feet out in front, knees bent, and the hands draped behind. Take your feet out as wide as the mat. And then all we're going to do is start to drape the legs left and right. Windshield wiping back and forth. And take the knees over to the right. Keep them there. The left hand's going to swing around and you'll start to twist, turning towards the back of the mat. So now you have an option to stay upright, hands on the floor for a little bit more traction to spiral. If you have the room for it, you could try coming down to your forearms. And if you want to go even further, you could come all the way down to your belly and hang out here. Now, as a reminder, these different options are just that. So especially in this pose, the order doesn't necessarily mean one is harder or better than the other. They're just different variations. So I encourage you to try them. See what's working for you on this day. All right, again, whatever you've been doing, that's going to affect where you're feeling sensation. Your habits, any other type of working out you might do, any kind of housework, yard work, physical labor, right? That's going to show up differently for all of us. All right, let's start to come back up onto the palms. We'll bring the arms back round, come back to our neutral starting place. And then, once again, just a little bit of draping to ease things up. The knees will drop to the left, the right arm will swing around. And then you might want to match whatever you did on the first side. Of course, if this side requires something different, you take something different. But we're trying to look for more symmetry in the body. So you take that as a grain of salt. Once you find the position that's working for you, expand your breath. Try to create some space where there lacks space. Start to come back to the palms. Swing yourself back to neutral. If you feel like you require a little bit more swaying, go ahead. When you're ready, we're going to just grab behind the thighs and help ourselves gently down onto the back. Follow your intuition here, taking movement if you like it. So knees to chest and some rocking, side to side may feel nice. Maybe some rocking up and down the length of the spine. Perhaps a full body stretch. With these variations, you don't have to think too hard. All right, let's take your feet back to the mat with your knees bent. Have your heels as close to your sits bones as is comfortable. Loose guideline is that your fingers could touch your heels. Now bring your arms by your sides. Then it's going to either be an open palm with palms pressing down into the earth. If you're practicing on a mat today, then I'll invite you to scoop up the edges of the mat into your hands. Pull the mat apart, and you'll feel this engage the rotator cuff muscles, that back body muscles. Similar work to what we've been doing standing on our feet. Spread your toes wide, and then lift the hips just an inch or so off the mat. Pull your heels towards your shoulders to engage the hamstrings, and you'll see and feel an actual shift of the knees towards the top edge of the mat. Recommit to ripping that mat in two, and then lift the hips higher for your bridge pose. You could adjust by walking your shoulder blades in and underneath the body a little bit more. Continue to press through the feet, squeeze through the glutes, and feel that you're really standing on your feet. Press your arms into the mat a little bit more energetically while pulling the mat apart. Take a full breath in. Exhale, roll your spine back down to the earth. Take your feet out as wide as the mat and just let your knees fall together. Release your grip on the mat's edge. Take a few breaths to just rest here. Back bends do cause a shift in the body. Changes our energy. So all you're doing here is noticing that, being aware. All right, let's take that again. Heel toe your feet back to hips width apart. See how close your heels can get to your sits bones. You could take the ripping the mat apart variation again if you like. Otherwise, we'll just try palms face down on the mat. Lift the hips about an inch or so. Pull the heels towards your shoulders. Press through the feet to get your hips higher. And then some of you might be able to interlace your fingers underneath you. Straighten the arms while walking them in. And so again, you're standing on the arms, the shoulders, and of course, the feet. Drag your heels towards your shoulders. Keep those hamstrings engaged. And only if you're feeling a little trapped in the low back, if it's feeling kind of cranky, play with releasing the glutes just a little bit. You still need to use them and work with them, but a little release may give you some space and breathing room. All right, as you're ready, roll your spine down to the earth. Bring your feet out as wide as the mat. Let your knees fall together. And then hands can rest wherever you like. Grounding for hands on frontal hip bones, or even arms draped overhead for a more open expression. Bring your feet back to hips width distance. This time, we'll extend the right leg straight up to the sky. Cross your ankle past your left knee for a figure 4 shape. You can stay here and press your right thigh away from you to get some hip opening. You could take this deeper by lifting your left foot off the floor. The right hand will reach in this little hole that you've made. Your left hand will grab for the outer edge of the thigh, and you'll pull it in towards your chest. The right elbow is handy to press the knee away from the body. So as the right knee moves away, you get a little bit more stretch in the hip. Now you may also like reaching for your shin to get even more snug. Some people find deeper expression by straightening the left leg as well. So you can play around, find that spot that's working for you. And then you could close the eyes and just breathe. Take your last round of breath. And we'll turn the left foot to the floor, unravel the legs, and we'll switch. Left leg straight up to the sky. Cross your ankle past your right knee. Into side. Press the thigh away with your left hand, or take your right foot off the floor. Left hand reaches inside the hole, right hand to the outside of the thigh, and you're either grabbing thigh or even the shin to get a bit more snug. If it feels good, you could try straightening your right leg and see how that works for you. The hips are often uneven, so if one side is feeling very different than the other, just know that is normal. Work with that. Do your best to mirror the same variation you took on the other side, but if it isn't quite as deep, that's totally fine. Take your last couple breaths. Release what you have, taking your right foot to the earth. Unravel the legs, and we'll take both knees into the chest. Just hug on the shins. Pull the thighs in so much that the low back just gently lifts away from the floor. And then you can take a little rocking side to side. Drag your knees across your body to the right for spinal twist. Your right hand will ground the knees, coming on top of the outer left thigh. And then the left arm will reach out to the left, either a straight arm or a field goal arm. You can try setting your gaze to the left as well, just for added opening through the neck and face. Take it back up to center. The knees will come back into the chest, and then we'll drape them over to the left. Left hand grounds the knees. The right arm will reach wide or come into a field goal arm, and you can turn your head to the right as well. Close the eyes and breathe. Take it back to center. One more time, even out the back. Draw the knees in for a final squeeze. Take your knees out as wide as your armpits. One more pull down, sort of replicating that child's pose shape on the back. Extend your legs long down the mat, and we'll prepare for a little bit of rest. With your legs long, allow your feet to drape open. Let the arms come by your side, or even hands on frontal hip bones. Tuck your shoulder blades underneath your body, and close your eyes. Feel that soft movement of your breath. And as you notice as freely that the breath moves through the belly, allow any effort going on to drop away. Tune into the ease of your breath. Soften your face and your jaw. Return to your intention. Remind yourself of what it is you're looking to invite into your world, or what change you're calling for. Hold that in your mind as we briefly rest. Shavasana. Feel free to stay as long as you like. If you're ready to get moving, start with your breath. Deeper inhales and exhales. Start to breathe some life into the fingers and the toes, just adding little wiggling movements. When you're ready, start to move the legs. Guide your knees to your chest, and you'll roll over to your right side. Give yourself a moment for a transition. And then you'll help yourself up to a cross-legged seat with eyes closed. Sit up tall, shoulders rolled back. We'll take the hands together in front of the heart, bowing the head for one final moment, holding space for any intentions that we carry. May they infuse and inspire the rest of our days. Take your thumbs to third eye at your forehead. Together with love, light, and gratitude, we bow. Namaste.